Hey, what's up guys? In this video we're going to be drawing a waterfall city that you can see here. It looks maybe a little complicated, but I'll show you guys the steps that I used to draw it. Okay, so let's get started. So I've drawn like a frame for my background, and the first thing we're going to draw is the waterfall. It's going to be on a cliff, so I'm just going to draw starting about here, just like a irregular shape line. And about here I'm going to curve it and come down at an angle, and it's not going to be a perfect line, but have some variation to it. Okay, and maybe a third into the page from the right we're going to draw our waterfall. So on that line I'm going to draw a curve on this side and a curve on this side, and we're just going to draw a vertical line down, vertical line down. This is our waterfall. So at the bottom of the waterfall we're going to draw, when water hits like a river from the waterfall, it has like that mist. So we're going to draw that effect by making it look like a cloud. So just these cloud-like shapes, trying to keep them irregular, makes them more interesting. Now on the waterfall, gonna draw some, I don't know how you call it, it's like squiggly lines, kind of like a lightning bolt that is curvy. And one more over here. You can even start, not from the top, like here. So it kind of gives the effect of water. Now on top, you can see I'm drawing a little higher than the waterfall. This rock is going to be our cliff. So again, making it irregular, and I'm going to draw maybe here, just making that irregular shape. Okay, so let's move on to the cliff. And for the cliff, what we're going to do is, let's start with this side. We're going to take this basic shape and we're just going to break that up with irregular lines. These are really random, So we have these long lines, and then we're going to also draw lines next to those lines, like that, and kind of shade that in. This is going to be shadow, next to these rock formations. Within these rock formations, I'm going to draw some diagonal squiggly lines. More or less, they don't all have to be in the same direction, but they all kind of flow that way. And I'm going to add some texture with just some dots and some marks. Again, trying to keep it irregular so it looks natural. Okay, so that technique we're just going to duplicate over the whole cliff. Let's see, we have this big space. So now I'm gonna just break that up. Okay, and maybe take it from here, connect it down there, put another shadow area here. I'm gonna go time lapse just to speed things up, and then we'll come back once I've kind of put in this cliff. Okay, so now we'll do some trees, and I'm going to put this tree line on top of the cliff. And what I want to point out is that these trees are very far away. So again, one of the key points is that things in the distance are, there's less detail on them. We can't see a lot of detail, I should say. So what you usually see is just shapes. So the top of the trees, now I'm just using round branches. You can make a little space you know, here and there. You can use whatever trees you want. You can make them triangles if you want to make them like pine trees. And see here, I'm going at a diagonal kind of behind the waterfall. And then I'm going to pick it up again. Trees on this side. Just trying to keep it irregular. Now we have the cliff. This is pretty much the thing that is furthest away from us. And again, we have the, you know, little mist from the waterfall. Now we're going to draw land that is in front of this waterfall. And to do that, we're going to draw a little shape at the bottom here. And watch. The shape is just going to be very simple. What is this shape? It's like a squashed. You guys leave a comment, let me know what the shape is. It's like a triangle, but it's not. Anyway, so it's pretty thin. This is going to be ground. And the idea that I'm going for is that this waterfall is going to make a river that's going to flow through this background toward us. So it's going to be behind here. And I'm actually going to draw the bottom of this misty part. Just a horizontal line. Now, this is a waterfall city or waterfall town. So we need some buildings. And so I'm going to draw some shapes. Just going to draw, see if you can see that. This is prime real estate right here, overlooking the waterfall. It's a rectangle and a dome. Architects in this region like to build roofs, dome shape, maybe something like you would see in Italy or something. Window and a little door. Okay, not much more detail, maybe a side room. That. Okay, I'm gonna draw different buildings on this little piece of land. So I'll do some time lapse and draw that. Alright, so got my 3 little riverside homes, dome for the roof, roofs, is that plural for roof? And I'm going to draw some people. So these people, the shape of them are going to be like this. Circle, rectangle. So far away that I'm not going to be able to see too much detail. Okay. Whoa, this is a small door. Okay, so actually I should draw them smaller. So they're just rectangles. Right. Draw 2 people right there. I mean, they're just like little specks. But we imagine them as people, which is pretty cool, next to this humongous waterfall. It must be awesome to have a house there. Yeah, I'll put a random fence. I don't know why. Okay, so remember those trees that we drew back here? We're going to want to draw trees on this little piece of land because we're going to draw more detail in these trees, and that'll give us a sense of distance because the closer ones will have much more detail. So next to this house, I'm going to draw the same shapes, but this time the trunks, we're going to see the branches. Okay. There's not detail on the, we can't see the bark, but branches now we can see. Okay, so if you compare that to these trees, you get a sense that there's some distance there. trash can. Let's keep this place clean. Okay, so we got those trees. Trees way high on the cliff, and some people. So now those elements, we got buildings, trees, people, and now we're going to duplicate that again on another piece of land that is going to be closer to us. So again, the principle, things that are farther away from us are smaller, things that are closer are going to be bigger. So remember that shape that we drew for the land? We're going to do the same exact thing, only we're going to draw it here on the left side. So just going to draw it like that, angled, and maybe there. And this line is going to be angled down. Actually, I'm going to need to save some space for the reflection, so I'm going to make more space. Okay. So now we have same kind of shape that we drew before, only it's much bigger. So we get a sense that this one's closer, that one's farther. We get depth in our background. I also want to point out that I left a space here because the idea is that the river flows behind this land this way and then towards us. All right, now we're going to do the same thing, draw some buildings and trees, only this time the trees and the buildings will have much more detail than these. Okay, so I'm just going to pick a spot, I'm going to overlap ground a bit. Remember, draw them bigger. Maybe even on the bottom you can put some bushes. Close that off. Curved lines. Then maybe at the top of this one I'm going to put like a, I don't know, triangle little design. Maybe some little thingies. Okay, close up. Looks like this. This is the dome. What I just drew were these things like this. Because I'm a bad architect. I don't know. This keeps the birds out. Something. We can make up a story. Or maybe you could draw them like this. It's a little more interesting. Okay, but I'll just go with that for now. And I'm going to duplicate that a couple more times on the building over here. And that kind of looks cool. Alright, and then front door. Okay, much bigger than that one. You can draw a doorknob for detail. And are these 2-story? I don't even know. Sure. Windows. Okay. Now what we can do to add detail is we can draw bricks. So here's a close-up. What we're going to do is, following the curve, the slight curve, this could actually be a building like right here. It's like a movie. It's like camera's moving. Anyway, so we're going to draw curves like this, and some curves here, and we're going to draw a brick so we can see detail in this building that is closer to us. Now we don't have to draw brick everywhere. We just draw it some places, and it kind of gives the overall feeling like this thing is brick, right? You can even draw, detail on the dome if you want. Okay, but I'm gonna mainly focus on drawing brick. So just here and there. It doesn't have to be everywhere. Of course, this is your little landscape, your world. You can add as much detail as you want. You can put, bushes. You can put a garage, a car, airplane landing, whatever you guys think is fun. So I'm gonna put some people here. So we have these two people to compare. Again, getting that sense of scale. Maybe this guy's even waving. He's like, "Good morning." Whoa, that guy's arm is really long. Okay, he's holding a stick. Okay. Saying hi to each other across the river. Maybe there's even a dog. And don't forget, we want to add some trees and bushes. So I'm going to time-lapse this and then draw in the remainder of the buildings on this piece of land. Alright guys, I wanted to come back from light speed time lapse to talk about this tree. I'm trying to make it a little more detailed than this tree over here, which is really far. So a lot more branches. I'm going to try and do some detail on the tree, the trunk, so you can see kind of the lines for the bark. If you're curious about some of the techniques I use for this, I did another video on forest backgrounds that I'll link to at the end of this video, so you can see some techniques for drawing trees more specifically. Alright guys, here is the little piece of land that is closest to us, and for comparison I've got the other piece of land. So same shape for buildings but a lot more detail on this one, and these are smaller, so hopefully that gives you guys a sense of depth and space within this background. And I couldn't resist, this reminds me of observatories, so I added a telescope. Maybe some of you will want this to be a cannon. Up to you. We can even draw some really small buildings up here. Maybe this is where the rich live. The mayor, right? Just the outline of these buildings. And maybe add some, V-birds. One more thing for the ground. Here on the bottom right, I'm going to add a curve. That. The reason I did this was because the water flows here, goes this way, and then I want to exit this way. So we have a nice flow through the background image that we have, which I think is kind of good to have. All right. So that was depth. We've put in all our buildings and stuff like that. We've gone over the principles for drawing these things, and now we're going to tackle reflection, because this is a river. So before I actually do the reflection, I want to add some, actually let's add some rocks, just because this is so empty. So some rocks, and remember the distance, these rocks are smaller. Okay, so now we're going to add some, what do you call it, ripples in the water. So I'm just doing these kind of zigzag lines, and I want to make sure sometimes I have two lines next to each other. Okay, so maybe by the shore, zigzag, it's flowing that way. Two lines next to each other. Even over here, And I should say the closer that these ripples get towards things in the distance, they're going to be closer to each other. This has to do with perspective, but the trick is to draw it close, and then as it gets closer to us or lower on the frame, you can draw these shapes much more spread out. Now, for reflections, all we have to do is take the land and we're going to copy it, but upside down. Okay, so easy way to do it is start at the point right here and just copy the land. Now these lines that I'm drawing doesn't have to be straight like this because it's water, so it can be squiggly. And then when I get to these ripples, I'm going to leave a space and just keep going. Okay, now here, this is the line that we're going to mirror everything off of. So everything below that, we're going to flip. Oops. Okay, so I stopped here because there's a bush, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Then above the bush is the side of the wall right here. Oops, you guys see that? Through the bush, copying it. Then I draw the building. There's a door, so draw the door. And I'm just going to quickly draw bushes, side of the wall. You can kind of guess. Right? Dome. And you got some reflections. If you want, you can add some lines to break it up even more. Talking about the water. Don't forget you want to add reflections for the rocks. Remember those ripples that we made, try to leave some space in the reflection. And then you just keep going. I drew a path during the time lapse, from these homes zigzagging down with some, lamp posts type things for nighttime. So I'm going to just roughly duplicate those. Let's see this walkway. About, I don't know, about here. Remember this building, this land goes kind of this way. Till there, and then we can draw this building right here. Do you guys make sound effects when you draw? Oftentimes I'll draw a cloud and I'll be like, or birds. That's when you're having fun. Especially when you're drawing action sequences. I tend to do a lot of sound effects, which is perfectly normal. Building on the left. It's got this little part. Oops, it's up here actually. Oh, no. I'm lost. Okay. This is a ripple. This is this. Okay, this is this. So we're going to draw the wall. Then this wall. Can be tricky, but you just gotta take your time. Okay, this wall. And these are the rock reflections. We got the bushes, which, remember, this is the line that we're mirroring from. So bushes. And Something like that. Let's go about there. There. Something like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. And now we're going to do the same thing for this one. This one will be easy because we don't have to really worry too much about detail because it's farther away from us. So remember, for these reflections, you can keep your lines really loose because it's water. So one more thing, I will add some clouds over here. And there we have our Waterfall City. So the one last thing I'm going to do is do a bit of shading. Again, to help with depth, things that are closer to us will be darker than things that are farther from us, which will have like a little fade to them because of atmosphere. Alright guys, I think we're done with this background for the Waterfall City, or Waterfall Town. Again, just to recap some of the ideas, things in the distance will have less detail than things that are closer to us, and things that are closer to us will have, will be a lot more darker just because of atmospheric perspective. Some tips for the reflection. All you gotta do is draw some ripples just to break up, the water surface, and then mirror the image that is above. So taking this line and then mirroring everything above it right below it. And just remember to keep the lines fairly loose and squiggly. Alright guys, so hopefully you guys liked that and found that helpful. Give it a shot, try out some of these ideas and let me know how it goes. If you haven't already subscribed, be sure to subscribe so you can see my upcoming videos, and be sure to leave comments and let me know what you guys think and what you guys would like to see in future videos. Alright guys, so have fun with that, and I will see you guys soon. Take it easy.